On today's episode of Time About the Movies, we're wrapping September 2010 up with 7 movies, starting off with the sequel that nobody was asking for, but Oliver Stone's kind of desperate for money at this point, and coincidentally, money is in the title of this movie, Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. We also have what could be Zack Snyder's best overall movie, and no, it doesn't involve Superman, doesn't involve anybody from the DC Comics. It involves owls kicking the crap out of each other. Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. Kristen Bell, Jamie Lee Curtis, Sigourney Weaver, and Odette Yustman star in a comedy, You Again, and then a slew of independent movies, including the Virginity Hit, Woody Allen's latest film, He Will Meet a Tall Dark Stranger, the documentary Waiting for Superman, and Ryan Reynolds in Buried. So a lot of films to look at today. We got a lot to get to. I'm already wasting so much of your time already. Let's start the show. Time About the Movies for September 24th, 2010.
One silk handkerchief, one watch, one ring, one gold money clip with no money in it, and one mobile phone.
Someone reminded me I once said, greed is good. Now it seems it's legal.
No matter how much money you make, Mr. Gecko, you'll never be rich.
Why don't you start calling me Gordon?
Fitting is how this is getting posted on the day that Michael Douglas decides to end his acting career. He literally announced today he's retiring at the age of 80, so how fitting. But welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 7 films released on September 24th, 2010. And sadly, the biggest new release of all of them is Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. When I say sadly, because there really was no reason to make this movie. None at all. This is taking place 23 years after the original Wall Street movie, and in June of 2008, Gordon Gekko, now played by Michael Douglas, has been out of prison for 7 years, despite his initial attempts to warn Wall Street of the forthcoming economic downturn and stock market crash. No one in the financial world believes him due to his convictions for financial crimes. Gekko decides to refocus his attention on rebuilding his relationship with his estranged daughter, Winnie, played by Carey Mulligan. Their time apart and the fact that she blames Gekko for her brother Rudy's suicide, means Winnie avoids any contact with him. At the same time, the mentor of young Wall Street trader Jacob, played by Shia LaBeouf, unexpectedly dies, and Jacob suspects his hedge fund manager of being involved in the death. Jacob, with Winnie's fiancée, seeks revenge and agrees to Gekko's offer of help, in return for which Jacob agrees to help Gekko win Winnie. And, the trailer alone really should be a warning sign that this thing probably isn't going to work because, he's got a mobile phone, but it's a big ass phone, not like the small phones that we have nowadays. It's just like, isn't that funny? And look, he's waiting for a limousine, like someone's waiting for him, but no, it's somebody else entirely. Isn't that hilarious? No, it isn't hilarious. And to its credit, the performances are good. Michael Douglas, I think, fits back into the role of Gordon Gekko very well. Shia LaBeouf is pretty good here playing Jacob, and it's really good to see him in a movie that's not filled with $100 million worth of special effects and him just kind of wasted his talents. But Josh Brolin, I thought, did a pretty good job playing Jacob's enemy. Brenton James, Carey Mulligan, I thought was good as Winnie. Frank Langella, Susan Sarandon, they're good in here for the brief parts they're kind of involved in here. But that's really all I can say about the movie, man. Everything else is kind of bland and meh. And there was just no reason for this to get made, except the fact that the title is a brand, and Michael Douglas won this Academy Award for this movie. And yeah, he's great in that movie, and that movie is awesome, but there's no reason to make this sequel whatsoever. The story is fine, I guess, in a way it kind of ties back to the economic downturn of the late 2000s, but there are just parts of the story that make no sense whatsoever. You have a character played by Eli Wallach, who just is one of the most annoying and unusual. Like, it's unbelievable they put him in. Oliver Stone put him in this, because there's no reason for this character to be in here. All he does is make bird noises, and it just gets annoying really, really fast. Like, I also don't like the fact that every time something bad happens, something good happens afterwards. Like, something bad happens to one of the characters, and then something great will happen afterwards. Like, you'll have scenes where, Jacob has a conflict, and it really is something that could really destroy his career. But it's okay, because this good positive thing happens afterwards. It's just like, it happens every single time. Like, it happens all throughout this movie. There are two separate scenes where Jacob has conflicts that end with something good happening. First, when you have Louis Zabel, Jacob's mentor, dying, and then afterwards, it's just like, hey, Winnie, want to marry me? Even though I just saw my mentor die? Yeah, sure, why not? It's just like, that doesn't bother me. But then, all hell breaks loose on Wall Street, and guess what happens? Hey, Jacob, it's me, Winnie. I'm pregnant now. And it's just like, that got me annoyed, because it happens way too many times throughout the course of this movie. I just couldn't buy that into that. It's just like, it just kept going and going and going, and it was so annoying as hell. But it'd be like me saying, well, my dad's dead, but hey, I just got a huge promotion at work. Things are working out great for me. It's just like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Just like the whole idea of making a sequel to Wall Street when you literally have nothing in the tank for it. This was when Oliver Stone was really in desperation mode, because his career really took a downturn, especially after W. W was the last movie he made that was actually really good from him, but then he followed up with this, and then Savages, and then Snowden. Like, he's not the same guy he used to be, sadly. And this guy made a lot of great movies back in the day, but this is where it felt like he was really slumming it for a paycheck, and it really shows in this movie. It's a major disappointment, good performances, but it's not enough to carry the film overall. So let's get to easily the best movie of the entire week, and that is, of course, Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
When his kingdom falls,
Those birds are doing something wrong.
Let us go!
They want to enslave us all.
a young owl will begin his quest,
We need to find the Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
and in search of a legend,
They're the only ones who can save us.
he will become one.
Come on, Soren.
We're not finished yet, boy. You too can be a great guardian. Legend of the Guardians, in theaters and IMAX 3D, September 24th, rated PG.
And nobody went to go see it, but then again, when you have shitty commercials like that running on your television, you completely forget. For those of you who didn't see the trailers for this movie in theaters, that trailer that they show on television shows you the shittiest marketing campaign possible for this movie. Let me show you a good marketing campaign for this movie.
Far as you can, you're halfway there!
What did he say?
We're halfway there! There were some really scary beasts out that way.
You can breathe now.
What are they really doing here?
They've built an army, powerful enough to take over all the owl kingdoms.
Go tell the Guardians!
On his way to finding the legend, he will become one. You too can be a great guardian.
That is what the majority of this advertising should have been for this movie. If that had happened, this movie would have made much more money than it did. But then again, you also throw in this. Yeah, you're goddamn right I'm going to be in a movie theater to see a new Looney Tunes short, which I think it's very funny that you have this lighthearted, funny Looney Tunes movie, and you think you're going into it afterwards to see a lighthearted animated comedy starring some owls, and then you get one of the most intense, most incredibly dark movies you can possibly get. Okay, maybe dark is an understatement, but it is much more intense than most people would have expected from this. But this is, of course, Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, which is based off a series of books, and it follows a young owl named Soren, voiced by Jim Sturgis, in what I think is probably one of his last big movies, when he had that little trend of, becoming everyone thought he was going to be this rising star, but I think this was the last thing that he was involved in, where he actually had a leading role in it. But he plays a young barn owl who is kidnapped by owls of St. Aggie's, ostensibly an orphanage, where owls are brainwashed into becoming soldiers. He and his new friends escape to the island of Ga'Hoole to assist its noble, wise owls, who fight the army being created by the wicked rulers of St. Aggie. And involved, his brother ends up getting involved, and he's eventually brainwashed to becoming their new leader. And, essentially they all have to work to get everybody. It's basically owls just kicking the crap out of each other, but done spectacularly. Like I said, this is, I'm not even going to say it may be. This is, without a doubt, the best thing Zack Snyder has ever directed. Hands down. Like, this movie is absolutely incredible. From a visual perspective, from the 3D, looking absolutely amazing. A great story. An incredible voice cast, which also includes Jeffrey Rush, Anthony LaPaglia, David Wenham, Helen Mirren, Sam Neill, Richard Roxburgh, Abby Cornish, Miriam Margolyes, Angus Sampson. I mean, this is a terrific film. This is done by the same people that did Happy Feet. And this is a movie where they really elevated themselves and really created something really great and really incredible. And it just really just shows there. It works so well for Zack Snyder's cinematic style. That scene where you see Soren flying through the rain in slow motion, that's a moment when you watch it on the big screen, it's just like, it just takes your breath away at how impressive it is. You get the chills watching that. And this movie has a lot of that and then some. And like I said, this is the type of movie where Zack Snyder's cinematography works really, really well. And nobody went to go see it because all they saw was the goofy cut, his ads on TV, where it's just like, oh, it's going to be like another Alpha and Omega. And no, it's nothing like Alpha and Omega. Maybe not to that extreme, but it's just like, people missed out on a really great movie here. And unfortunately, they were going to do more of these movies, but they sadly didn't do it because the film didn't do very well. It did decent numbers overall. It made $140 million worldwide, but obviously they were expecting a lot more. But then again, you released this in late September instead of probably giving this a big holiday release like you did with Happy Feet. I guarantee you, if this had the marketing campaign that Happy Feet did and released in November, this thing would have cleaned up in the box office, especially considering what the November 2010 film cycle was like at that time. It wasn't that great in general, but yeah, this is a film that just works really well. It took me back to the movies that... It was a movie that didn't play it safe. Like, it didn't go down that route of, let's make just a lazy kids movie, animated kids film that's PG. No, this felt like you were watching an 80s G movie. I got chills thinking about from scenes in this movie, but I also got memories of The Secret of NIMH. I got memories of what Don Bluth used to do back in the day. That's what it felt like when you watched this movie. You could tell that they weren't just going with the norm here. They were trying to do something unique and different with it. And I think, I myself think they succeeded with that in a big, big way. You get attached to the characters, you get attached to the gorgeous visuals, you get attached to the darker elements of the story. Yeah, they changed stuff from the source material, but then again, they changed a lot of The Secret of NIMH from the book. The original book was completely different compared to what we got with The Secret of NIMH in general, and they did a pretty damn good job with it. This is one of the most underappreciated animated films of recent memory. And this is definitely a film that I wish would have been successful so we could have seen how much more elevated this series could have become. And it's a shame that nobody went to go see it because, why would you go see this movie when you have that terrible marketing campaign that's basically saying, don't go see this movie because we know you're not going to like it. Like, I just don't get it, man. The trailers they put in theaters were so much better than the trailers they put on television. It felt like they were sabotaging this movie on purpose. It really did feel that way to me, but seriously, definitely check it out, because it is a really damn good movie. If you love Happy Feet, you're going to love this movie, because this is right up in that same category. If you love old stuff like The Secret of NIMH or The Land Before Time and American Tail, you get the flashbacks of those 80s G movies where 80s G actually meant something and wasn't afraid to go as deep as it needed to. Not like today's G, where it's just seen as a pariah is that we don't even mention anymore, like the black sheep of all, but... Bottom line, Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole is friggin' amazing. If you have not seen it, see it. It's definitely a major movie experience you need to see. You need to see this because this is without a doubt the best thing Zack Snyder has ever directed. He has never done anything better since then, and it was all downhill from there. Maybe a little bit of a brief rise after his next film that we'll take a look at, but not enough. But this is definitely his magnum opus to me. Legend of the Guardians: The Hours of Behold. So with that said, let's go back to some crap. Let's go ahead and take a look at another bad 2010 Disney comedy starring Kristen Bell. You again.
I have news. I got a promotion. What? I am now VP of our New York office.
I am so proud of you, honey. So, Marnie, we have a lot to do before your brother's wedding.
I just feel bad that I haven't met his fiance.
Isn't it funny? You guys all went to high school together?
Wait, we all went to high school together?
No!
My brother is about to marry the girl who single-handedly ruined my life in high school.
You were prettier with the mask on. Don't let the way those girls treated you bring you down.
You got this. Nothing to be afraid of. I can't relate to what I went through.
Nobody gets through high school unscathed. I knew one girl who made my life hell. Aunt Mona, Mrs. Will's mom. Gail? Ramona. How long has it been? Well, don't tell or I'll have to strangle you.
Oh, the anvil of irony! Ow.
More like the anvil of stupidity. You're telling me that Kristen Bell plays somebody who doesn't even know who her brother is marrying, and can't figure it out that it might be somebody she already knows, and the fact that her mother had somebody who used to treat her like crap too. It's just like, yeah, this is fucking stupid. And granted, it's nowhere near as stupid as When in Rome, but it's pretty fucking stupid. As a teenager, Marnie, played by Kristen Bell, was the kind of girl no guy would go near, and would be tormented by the mean girls, and no one was meaner to her than Joanna, the head cheerleader. Yeah, because Kristen Bell back in high school clearly looked like somebody that nobody would ever want to touch whatsoever. Yeah, you're pushing your luck here, movie. Years later, she's a successful woman with a good job. When she goes home for her brother's wedding, she discovers that her brother is marrying Joanna. Her brother is played by James Wolk, who was in a show at the time, Lone Star, which literally ended the week this movie came out. It was only on for 2 weeks, but it wasn't a bad show. It was just typical Fox cancellation. You're not getting us American Idol numbers? Gone. When she goes home for her brother's wedding, she discovers that her brother is marrying Joanna, and he doesn't know what she did to Marnie. Yeah, we're playing this game, aren't we? When they meet, she wants Joanna to apologize for the way she treated her, but Joanna feigns ignorance. Because we wouldn't have a movie. And why wouldn't we have a movie when Marnie tells her mother, Gail, about her and Joanna, and tells her to try and put it behind her. But when Gail meets Joanna's Aunt Mona, played by Sigourney Weaver, it turns out that she's her old friend Ramona, who was her best friend in high school, who she fell out with years ago, and Gail is unaware of what caused it. Gail feels like Mona trying to rub her success in the face. When Marnie learns that Joanna does remember her, she sets to expose her to her brother. Fuck this bullshit. This is the movie that literally shut down Touchstone Pictures for good. Like, this was the last thing they did before Touchstone eventually was basically signed a deal with DreamWorks, and eventually they just distributed DreamWorks' movies and decided not to make any more of their own movies. Yeah, this was the last thing they made. I hope you're happy with it. But hey, we got Betty White. She was popular back in 2010. She had that renaissance, because, yeah, that's a reason to go see the movie. Please go see our film. Yeah. No one went to go see this film. This thing flopped, and it really is not a shocker to see why. This is a terrible movie. It's unfunny garbage. It's a sitcom plot blown up for the big screen, and you're wasting all this talent in this movie on this garbage. This thing sucks. This is a terrible, terrible movie. It's unfunny. It's unclever. The only thing I can say that's positive about it is it's nowhere near as bad as When in Rome is. When in Rome was a gigantic shit pile. This is still a shit pile, but not as big as When in Rome is. Like, here's When in Rome, here's you again. Take that for what you will. So, let's go ahead and get to some good movies for once, as we get back into some more independent releases in general. Starting off with our first film here, not really independent, I guess it was made by the same people who produced by the same people who gave us Superbad. But here's the Virginity Hit.
Four friends.
one camera.
This is gonna be our best movie ever.
On September 10th, run. Jump. Drive. Do whatever it takes to get your hit.
I'm gonna do Fear Virginity what Alfred Hitchcock did to birds.
The Virginity Hit, rated R, in select cities September 10th.
It's essentially Catfish, except with a happy ending, where someone might literally get a happy ending out of this. But 4 guys, 1 camera, and their experience chronicling the exhilarating and terrifying rite of passage, losing your virginity. As these guys help their buddy get laid, they must survive and friends with benefits, internet hookups, and even porn stars during an adventure that proves why you will always remember your first. So this is essentially a found footage comedy, and I said it was Judd Apatow producing it. No, it's Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, so it was kind of close, but not really. But it's a found footage comedy and a good premise overall, a good idea, and a good twist on the old storyline of high school kids wanting to get laid for the first time. But this time, let's do it with found footage and using cell phones and video cameras. And it does work for the most part. Not every bit of it works overall. You do get by the camaraderie between these 4 friends. I wish they kind of did a little bit more to make it seem like it was a found footage movie, something like a Blair Witch Project. But you can definitely tell there are times when this is clearly a scripted film made by the same guys who did made by the same people who did Anchorman and Talladega Nights and Step Brothers. Like, it feels like that type of a film. But like I said, not a bad movie by any means necessary. Far from it. I think it is a very good, underrated little gem of a film, and one that's definitely worth checking out. Definitely one you want to seek out there. If you can find it out there, give it a watch. It's definitely worth it. I would say definitely see The Virginity Hit. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Woody Allen's You Will Meet a Total Dark Stranger.
Into your life. His wife died, and he's been trying so desperately to contact her.
I love you.
Fate lets you know there's bigger trouble out there.
She left me for another woman. No. The deceased one.
Shakespeare said, life was full of sound and fury, and in the end signified nothing.
We will meet a tall, dark stranger.
First and foremost, I gave you the wrong title. It's You Will Meet a Tall Dark Stranger, not You Will Meet a Total Dark Stranger. 2, that title sounds like something that sounds like a warning. You will meet a tall, dark stranger, so steer away if you want to. And 3, that was not me that did that. That was the official trailer on Woody Allen's YouTube page that had that glitch on there. That wasn't me in general. That wasn't me at all. That was the video doing that. And I probably could have gotten a better one, but anyway, this is Woody Allen's latest film, and it follows a pair of married couples, Alfie, played by Anthony Hopkins, and Helena, played by Gemma Jones, as their daughter Sally, played by Naomi Watts, and her husband Roy, played by Josh Brolin. Second film he's in this weekend after Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, as their passions, ambitions, and anxieties lead them into trouble and out of their minds. After Alfie leaves Helena to pursue his young youth and a free-spirited call girl named Charmaine, played by Lucy Punch, Helena abandons rationality and surrenders her life to the loopy advice of a charlatan fortune-teller. Unhappy in her marriage, Sally develops a crush on her handsome art gallery owner boss, played by Antonio Banderas, while Roy, an author nervously awaiting the response to his latest manuscript, becomes moonstruck over Dia, played by Frida Pinto from Slumdog Millionaire, a mystery woman who catches his gaze through a nearby window. And it's another one of those movies where Woody Allen feels like he's doing the same thing over and over again. Like, we've seen this done before with him so many other times, and because of that, there's nothing about it that really makes it stand out compared to his other movies in general. The performances, I think, are good in here, but the film itself is kind of bland and mediocre overall. The comedy really isn't all that funny. The acting really isn't all that great. I mean, it's fine, but it's nothing spectacular or amazing, and this is just a precursor to Woody Allen eventually giving us his magnum opus the following summer, and that was, of course, Midnight in Paris, but this, not so much. Mostly mixed opinion on that one, so with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that's the documentary Waiting for Superman.
18, 10, 12, 2, and the last number.
Sadly, there's no Superman or Daughtry to come save these children, unfortunately. But this is a movie that was trying to use the same format that Paranormal Activity did the following year, where Paramount wanted people out there to demand the film come to their theater, and it ended up working out. So they decided to do it again this time with this documentary. And it follows they're criticizing the American public education system by following several students as they strive to be accepted into competitive charter schools such as KIP LA Schools, Harlem Success Academy, and Summit Preparatory Charter High School. And it's definitely a documentary that is very much topical even in today's world. But yeah, this is Davis Guggenheim, who follows this up after his work with An Inconvenient Truth, which won him the Oscar a couple years ago. And while this one's definitely not as great as that one, this is still a really impressively put together documentary that really does tackle a very serious issue going on. And it is a film that does get you invested in following these kids, as all they want to do is just get an education like everybody else does. It does have a lot of those elements that I like in Hoop Dreams. And while it's not quite Hoop Dreams level good or even An Inconvenient Truth good, it's a really good documentary that talks about a serious subject that needs to be addressed and needs more attention now more than ever. And I think the film does a very good job of handling that. I really like it. I think it's a great documentary, one that's definitely worth checking out, and that is, of course, Waiting for Superman. One I highly recommend checking out. It's definitely one that deserves more attention than it has, especially for the subject matter that it has. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look now at our last film, and that's Ryan Reynolds starring in Buried.
Paul Conroy, you have to help me. You have to help me. I can't breathe.
Okay, Mr. Conroy. Can you tell me your location?
I don't know. I got hit in the head, but I blacked out, and that's the last thing I remember.
How are you calling me right now?
What? No! Wait! Yeah! Where is it?
This is probably Justin Baldoni's favorite film of all time because he gets to see the husband of the woman that basically ruined his life starving to death underneath all this dirt and trying to survive when we know he's going to die at the end of it. I mean, for those who don't know, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively worked on It Ends With Us. Blake Lively's married to Ryan Reynolds. That's the context. But in this film, you follow Iraq-based American civil truck driver Paul Conroy, played by Ryan Reynolds, who, after being attacked, finds himself buried alive in a wooden coffin with only a lighter, flask, flashlight, knife, glow sticks, pen, pencil, and a mobile phone. And this came out several months before the big, Trapped Somewhere movie was supposed to come out. James Franco in 127 Hours, Danny Boyle's follow-up to Slumdog Millionaire, which that one did get the better reception overall in terms of the Oscars and also the box office and the movie in general. It's definitely a better movie, but this is a film that sadly got pushed off to the side, even though it came out months before that, because this is a really good movie. It's a film where you're watching this guy trying his hardest to stay alive and try to get out of this, but because of the situation he's in, it's a very tough thing to go with here. And it's a film that just, if you're claustrophobic, this is the type of movie that you probably will not like, because it's a very tense film. You're watching this guy trying to survive and trying to stay alive as much close as you can, but then sadly, as the movie comes to an end, you come to the realization that nobody's coming to help him, and yeah, he's going to die in the most excruciating, painful way possible. And yeah, this is a film that is very well done. This is a film that just is really well done, and it works because of the charisma of Ryan Reynolds, showing his talents overall, and showing that he's not just a one-trick pony and a guy that is clearly on the way to something much bigger and much grander. And the hope was that Green Lantern was going to do that the following year, but not so much. But this is a great movie, directed by Rodrigo Cortez, who would later go on to direct Red Lights, Down a Dark Hall, and then he would do another movie similar to this called Escape, which did not do very well in general here. This is probably his most notable film as a director as a whole, but it's a great movie regardless. It's a really damn good film, a very underrated movie, and one I highly recommend checking out. Definitely seek this one out, Buried. It's definitely a buried gem. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and we'll jump into October next time around with three notable movies. Actually, just one no, not three notable movies, because there's another one here in this list, but David Fincher's The Social Network with Jesse Eisenberg starring as Mark Zuckerberg in the story about how Facebook came to be. We also have Case 39 starring Renee Zellweger and Bradley Cooper. And we also have the remake of Let the Right One In, Let Me In, directed by Matt Reeves, who did Cloverfield before this. But 3 notable films to start off the month of October, so we'll take a look at those coming up on tomorrow's show. So definitely be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it, because if you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification button so you get updates on when new videos come out. And also don't forget to hit our playlist, as well as check out the previous episode as well. And with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.